Hello, I guess we're back here again. I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step guide to how I created this photograph here. So let's get started. Oh, by the way, if you stick around to the end, I'll show you some behind-the-scenes photos, so you'll get to see exactly what my lighting setup was. So, okay, so this was the end shot, which I really like a lot. And let's start at the very beginning. So here was the first picture I took. Stand in peaches, stand in everything. We've composed a little bit like before. And what we did was we composed in live view. So we were able to kind of work on that. And we saw some things we liked. We really like these little doohickey things here. They're like baby peaches. And I can see I was running out of the background. But here was the overlay that we knew we worked within. That was going to be the cover of the mailer, and there's going to be type left up here, room for type. So okay, let's just go through it. Okay, so I'm just experimenting with the light. As you can see, I started with the light on the left hand side. I figured I was going to, if I went from the other side, I would be working around this tall thing here, so the shadows would become this way, and this would obscure this on this. But I was playing around, and I thought I'd try it the other way just to see what happened. I do like the way this kind of edges right here and right here, but that obstacle was just a little too big. That's pretty much the same lighting, just moved around a little bit to the front, and it just wasn't working. So it's kind of a good lesson for you. You have to experiment. You look at a shot and you say, oh, okay, the light's probably going to go over here. But you know what? A lot of times it's worth to just experiment around and see where the light really is going to go. This was not the final composition, and usually I suggest that people compose first and light second, but we're sort of doing this simultaneously, and I kind of knew what was going on compositionally. I knew it wouldn't change all that much, so I started to light early. So okay, playing around some. Okay, I added light from the other side. I kind of like what was going on here. We got this rim thing going on. That looked pretty good. I like the way this was starting to show shape. Okay, I turned the backlight on. I figured I wanted to blow out the background, and this was my first attempt. I just turned the light on just to see what it would look like, and it was way too hot, of course. But I did kind of like that effect. So I kind of like blowing out the background, and I was experimenting, and we switched out the peach, rolled it around. Oh, another thing I was playing with is my focus. Because I have a tilt shift lens, I'm able to lay the plane of focus down where I have this and this in focus, and I can make this go out of focus. It's just not a parallel plane to the lens. So that was kind of a fun thing to play with. I've been doing that a lot, and I really do love that. Okay, so we're messing around here. We didn't have that many peaches. We did this sort of before peach season came, which is normally the case when you're working for like a grocery store. They want to have their promotions in ready to go for when the seasonal fruit arrives. So we have to shoot it beforehand. And what that means is we usually don't get the fruit or the food that's like prime. Right now is probably prime fruit season, probably a month after this fruit was given to us to shoot. Okay, so we're playing around. I'm sort of experimenting. I'm not quite loving everything that's going on, and we were going to go with the two peaches here, and then we thought, oh, let's cut this in half. This is looking a little bit better. So that was kind of an interesting feel, but it still wasn't clicking. So we keep playing around, and then it was somebody's idea to move the two front pieces over a little bit more, and I think that really worked out much better. So as you can see, we're playing with the composition, playing with the focus there. You can see I moved the focus so I got this and this in focus. Now this is going soft back here. Whereas the shot before, I tried to lay it down, or I tried to just keep this in focus. So as you can see, shots like this are just a lot of playing around. I laid the focus way down here. You can see this is getting pretty sharp here. So this and this is in focus. Actually, it looks like I'm going from side to side here. That's probably what it was. Can't remember exactly, but I know I did a lot of playing around. And I was playing with that leaf there, just kind of filling holes, playing with the leaf back there. So in general, I think this is looking pretty good. It's kind of blown out in the back. And this is with my 85mm tilt shift lens. And I'm shooting pretty much, I can't remember what my aperture was. I think this will tell me over here. Let me see. It probably does tell me, I just can't find it right now. But okay, so I'm playing around. I mean, I think I was shooting probably around f4, or maybe a little bit more, 5.6. So you can see I'm playing with ratio, lights from the side. What is all that doing? I mean, there's no like right or wrong when you do something like this. It's just experimentation, and that's all I'm doing. And you end up just, you know, you have a space to fill, so you put that leaf in there. You know what I mean? So I keep playing around, playing with my light ratio a little bit. Okay, so we got it where we want it. We shoot it without the spritz, and the client always loves us to play with the spritz, so that's what we did. Oh, by the way, see this right here, this red around here? That looks pretty natural, but that was something the stylist did. When she tore that apart, there wasn't any of that, and you sort of expect that. I don't even know what it's called, but that was a pretty cool thing that she did. I think it came off pretty well. I mean, it was believable to me, and I really liked the way we ended up putting this one peach in here. It's sort of a nice little crack there. It says peach, and there's with some spritz, a little more spritz, play around with the ratio, maybe exposure. Okay, the client always likes me to pull back so that they can use a wider shot if they need something. So that was a screwed up exposure, so we got that. Okay, then we did something different here. We didn't have a really heavy day, so I said, let me experiment a little bit. So what I did was I switched to my 200mm macro lens. And that's not something I use a whole lot. It's sort of, I just every once in a while I pull it out, and I just want to see what it do here. And I tell you the truth, I love this. I love what it did. It sort of stacks this up where this stuff becomes, you know, it's bigger in comparison. I mean, so here's where we were before, and here's where we are right now. And I really, hold on a second, see if I can pull both of these up at one time. Yeah, I mean, the feel of that, it's very different. You know, we kind of lost that high key feel of over here, but look how much bigger this is compared to this, as opposed to this feel. And it's a low key shot now, and I think it looks awesome. I mean, this is by far my favorite version of this, so I was real happy. It's, you know, it really pays to experiment, try something new, and, you know, it's a happy accident kind of thing. You know, you just keep on. What's going on here? Okay, so again, this was just kind of playing around a little bit, get the exposure right, make sure the client has options. And I zoom back, let's see what it looks like a little wider. And I think I liked it even better with the, I tried tighter too. I don't think I liked it that tight. I think I liked it better before. But so the big lesson here was, you have to experiment. I mean, you know, just don't get done with the job and say, okay, next shot. I mean, you have to sometimes because you have a tight schedule, but, you know, it's just a good idea if you can really take your time and play a little bit, because that's how you're going to get better. You got to push the envelope. Just don't do what you've always done. Try to push the envelope. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the behind the scenes shots now. Okay, here we go. This was just a picture of my computer monitor, no big deal. Okay, so here is here's a shot of my tilt shift lens. You can see all the mechanical doodads going on. You can see everything. You can see how I used this here to cast a shadow onto this area here, because my main light was coming through this way. Here, I'll show it to you. This was the initial setup. So I have my light here, and I have, so the light here is casting a pretty crisp shadow. And I left these modeling lamps on, so you can see the whole setup. This is over top. It's a scrim gym is I think what it's called, but it's a really cool light. So I'm putting a box light into this, which in this particular case, it's really not that big a deal. You could probably see some highlights through the droplets, but I mean, you really wouldn't tell that effect. This light here isn't in play. This is just some of the peaches left over. This is my computer over here. This is my camera. So, okay, here's a shot. Here's a mirror kicking back into this area. I'm trying to darken this area down a little bit, so I have a little flag dot here. This is just leftover stuff. Here's a little batch of blue stuff we used to keep this from rolling around. This wasn't a shadow caster, it just happened to be there because the crop was like right up through here. And this is a new background I made, by the way. I just made a bunch of new backgrounds and I'm really pleased to death with them. They're awesome. I'll show them to you sometime maybe. But this one I left pure white because I know this client always likes to shoot on white. And you can see my homemade lens shade there. That's awesome. My table sits on apple boxes, and yeah. Okay, so here we go. This is another angle. You can see a mirror. I had this mirror. It was catching the light coming from over here, and it popped it down, and it put a little highlight here. I'll try to dig that back out. I forgot to mention that to you. But here, spend a little minute here, and you can always stop the video if you want to see what's going on. So, okay, and this was before I switched to the 250, but this will give you a better look at my surface. The surface has like a little bit of bluish greenish in it, and it's white over top of that, but I really love that background. Okay, pretty much the same shot. Here's a low angle, but this shows the tilt shift lens. And you can see by this little bevel right here, you can see that instead of laying down the focus on top of it, I used the tilt shift lens to go from side to side, which is kind of interesting. Okay, well, oh yeah, I wanted to show you that one other thing here. Let's see, let's go back. Getting dizzy here. Can't even find it. But what happened was, like, see how this is dark here? It's pretty dark. What I did was I zapped the light into there at one point. Oh, here it is. So I zapped the light back there, and I didn't really like it. Maybe that wasn't it. Shit, I can't find it. Maybe it was near the end. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is what it was before, and that's probably what I liked. And one last experiment was I thought, oh boy, I'd like to get some shape out of that. I think that would be cool if I got some shape. So I tried zapping a light in, but I didn't like it because I had to light it from the front or I'd be hitting this thing. So I had a mirror just zapped into that, but I couldn't get it at a good angle. So I ended up probably not using that one, but that's a difference. See, that's the difference. When I use a small light source like I do, I call it a small light source. I call it my big 10-inch. It's a Fresnel spot, but it creates a crisp shadow. And because it creates a crisp shadow, I can use mirrors to put them just where I want. So that's one of the experiments, and it didn't work. But like I said earlier, you have to keep experimenting because that's the only way you're going to get better. And you have to take a second before you're done. Okay, you think you're going to be done with the shot. You think, oh, I like that. Sit down for just 20 seconds and just stare at the photo and say, how can I make this better? How can I make this better? And those are probably the best 20 seconds you'll ever spend because you can, you'll just see something that's just something a little out of space, a tangent here, or, maybe that's a little too hot there. I can block that off, or maybe there's not enough condensation, that kind of stuff. Okay, well, that's it for today. Thank you very much. And I hope everything goes well for you, and I'll get back to do another one of these soon. Take care.